Alrighty, Mr. Gatekeeper here. Here we have a old school Dave made, original Dave, straight 16. And the story behind this bad boy right here is my buddy out there in Louisiana had sent this to somebody. I'm not sure quite who it was. It could have been a local out there, I'm not sure. But to get a few things fixed in it, and he seemed to prettied it up pretty well. I could tell a few things in here that it appears he took this cap in here and glued it, and of course it's going to be kind of hard to hold that cap in there with some epoxy right there. I'd say it'd about be better to go with maybe even an arrayment of smaller caps, but we'll figure that out. I think I got me a mount that'll keep that stable. But I can tell you, out of these caps right here, did the whole thing with the hot bus here. Has some good 14 gauge wire right here. That looks good. I like that. And threw some 5-watt resistors on everything. And I've already started doing just a little bit to this, not much. These were the 5-watt resistors on the output carousel combiner. And somebody stepped on a frog over there, didn't I? But anyway, you can tell that these, let's see, it appears that about 2 of them has got about maybe possibly 3 of them's gotten pretty hot. So that's just a sign of some possible an imbalance. Because when you're dealing with these bigger boxes, man, you know, everything needs to be as close as it possibly can be. The more you have, the more everything needs to be balanced together. So anyway, first off, you know, I had some problems getting the sides off these things, man, and the sides off the amp, and I had to literally drill every single screw to get the sides off. It's just the way that they were cocked up on there, kind of a sideways angle, the bolts or whatever. They had all de-threaded themselves. You know, it was pretty much to where the bolt was not on there straight. It was kind of cocked up like that right there, and had literally skipped the thread on each of them. So I had to drill all them out. Next issue I saw, I knew I was gonna pop all the transistors out. Those are them right here in the bottom portion of this bag right here. And I will actually pull them out and show. I done put all of them on an Atlas just to get the HFE. Give a shout out to Mr. 073. And I quickly found out that one of them was a fake Toshiba from eBay. And there was one of them reading as a diode. And the top of that one quickly just also fell off while I was taking it out of the circuit. So those were 2 that were very questionable right there. And of course, it's mixed with non-dots and dots, which, you know, that's not an exact bad thing. I mean, you'll find a lot of these bigger boxes that's going to have a mixture, because it's like nobody can just replace all of them. You know, they don't always have the money to do that, which is completely understandable. But if I can help it, I try to go with either all dots or all non-dots. You know what I'm saying? If I can help it. So basically, what I'm going to be doing for you, bud, is I've the last couple of weeks I've been trying my hardest to gather up some used Toshibas, and I've also got a Sweet 16 that I got my hands on. It's pretty much got 4 of the same lot and the other 4 of the same lot. I'm going to take all the transistors out of that Sweet 16 for you, bud. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch and swap your transistors to try to get a 16 as close as possible. As close as possible for you. So, you know, like, for example, you might have 2 right here, and then I got 2 right here that might be a little bit higher in gain, possibly in HFE or whatever. You know, or you might have 2, you know, I'm gonna try to either go with all dots or all non-dots if I'm able. So that's another goal of mine. So I'm gonna do the best I can with that for you, bud. I can tell that the guy that worked on it and also put these 1/4-inch chokes right here, which I'm not, I'm not against by no means. I feel that it is adequate, but I may possibly even take those off. I don't know, and put a 1/2 inch. I'll just kind of go see what I feel. I know that Dave usually throws some balancing resistors on the inputs of these two, and I can tell that these are changed as well. So I might throw some 100 ohms on there. I'm just going to go with my gut too. I'm thinking about possibly taking all these 330s off. I can tell those had not been changed because, I mean, if you take a look at them, it looks like they've all been either rubbed against or something where all the values aren't even on them. They've been kind of scraped off or just rubbed against. I don't know, just over a period of time. So I think I'm going to take all them 330s off and check them. Like I said, man, when you're dealing with a bigger box like this, you want to try to have all your capacitors matching as good as possible, as close as possible. Try to get everything working, as well as it can work. And the reason why, I went ahead and took the 5 watts off and put these 2 waters on here, is when I get everything set up, I want a resistor that's a little bit lesser in wattage so I can see if there's an issue. Just by touching around, feeling, if there's a section in here that's getting a little bit of hot or oscillating or whatever, so I can, see it pretty quickly. All right, next issue that we had is once I started taking these transistors out of here, as soon as I started taking the actual 4-40 machine screws, these bad boys right here, I started to notice there's little wires that seemed to be wrapped around the screw themselves. And at first I was like, what is this? It didn't hit me at first until I'd done a few of them and noticed that almost all of them were done that way. And then it hit me at that point what was going on. For some reason, almost every single one of these holes are stripped out. And what the guy had done, I don't know if it was the guy before or that's what I'm saying. That's one thing I'm very careful about, to point fingers or anything like that, because you have no idea of knowing how many people's hands been in this box or any amplifier. It's best just to go by the facts that's in front of you and don't blame a dang person at all. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of rule I go on. And just like I was saying before, the guy before, that's not even completely accurate. I'm just going by what seems to be different than the way an original Dave would be. Okay, that's all I'm saying there, Which, whatever the guy had done before, it looks great, man. It looks like he done a great job on what he did. Changing out everything, and all the power distribution looks great. Got the current bars on each side. Got all them wire, like 10 gauge wires coming in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That looks great. It's got them evenly distributed. I like that. And the only thing I don't think I agree with much is the ground. If you see here, it's kind of about 25% of it's broke off this bolt. I think I'm gonna take this off and redo the ground system on this. I may come in with wires, or I may just, I think what I'm going to do is just put a bigger, I got some real thick flat cable I might go with right there. But that's something I'll deal with later on. But anyway, back to what I was talking about with this, is all the holes are stripped. Just about all of them are stripped. They were putting little enamel wire down in there to try to get the the grip onto it. But the problem is a lot of times that's just not going to allow you to torque that transistor down. And that transistor needs to be torqued down on that heat sink as hard as it can be torqued down on to help transfer that heat. So I'm basically at the crossroads of doing one or two things. One, which I've already disconnected the screws holding this heat sink in here, is to attempt to take this heat sink and flip it around and drill all new holes, or two, make these holes from number 4s to number 6s and put bigger bolts in there to hold the transistors down, which I don't exactly want to do it that way. I have done it that way before, you know, and a couple of smaller boxes, and, you know, heck, bigger screws ain't gonna do nothing but hold the transistors down, you know, even better. But so I'm gonna have to do one of the two, and if these don't line up well, might even have to get some new heat sinks. And I think I got a few of these heat sinks laying around, so we'll get it figured out for you, bud, and get this thing up and rolling. We're gonna hook her up to the bigger supply over here. That one right there, and we'll get this thing up and rolling for you, man. Get her all balanced out, man. Appreciate your patience, man. So we're gonna get ahead and get on to the next step here, man, and get you 16. Go through here and get you 16 transistors matched together as much as possible that we can with what we have. And as of right now, you're only having to get, I think, 2 to 3. I've got it written down. I think it's just 2, but it could be 3 different transistors, you know, than what you had already. That one fake Toshiba from eBay, that one that was reading as a diode, and there could be one more, but I might be mistaken. I've got it written down in my notebook, so it'd be either 2 or 3. So that's better than more. So we'll get this thing figured out for you, man. Get this thing on rocking and rolling, and get it back to Louisiana. Old gatekeeper. We'll be back. All right, I decided just to use the heat sinks and to flip them around and pretty much re-drill all the holes. The 6 holes that mounts the heat sink to the board, and all, you know, 16 holes per side for the transistors. Reason why, if you take a look at this dead transistor here, I would have to drill each transistor's hole that much bigger just to make it fit a number 6. And I just don't feel too comfortable drilling 16 transistors, because, you know, what if I need to take some of them out, you know, and replace with some more transistors. You know, now I'm gonna have some with holes that big, you know, that probably won't hold as good with number 4 as it could. So I thought it'd just be best to do this, because I mean, it's a little bit more labor, but I'd rather do it right than try to take any shortcuts. So that's what we're doing now, drilling the last starter hole. I'm just making starter holes right here, and then I'm going to pull the heat sink out. Excuse me. Alrighty. Then I'm going to pull this bad boy back out. After I unscrew these. Alright. Alright, I'm going to make sure to clean this real good. So now we have our 16 starter holes. So I'm going to go ahead and drill all them out and tap them out. And then go do the same thing for the other side. And then I can drop these transistors in and start doing some troubleshooting or whatever I need to do to get this bad boy up and rolling. Alright, about got these finished up. Keeping it all oiled up so it cuts like butter.
Obviously a transparent, translucent view for it, or some display panel. All right. Also, Bob, on what this gentleman was referring to, you said on the right side.
I won't make you keep watching now. I know that's kind of boring. Alrighty, righty. We got this, it's pretty neat, buddy. Alright, we got this thing drilled. We're going to go ahead and clean it up. It's just kind of hard to do with one hand. I tell you what, you can kind of look where these other transistors was, as you can see. See the little rings around them? Looks like somebody literally attempted to scratch them with something sharp. I don't really know why they done that, but they're scratched. Somebody just took something sharp, like a pointy pick or something, just kind of scratched them there. Hold on a second, buddy. I'm doing the video, bud. So we're gonna get this thing cleaned up and get back out there and get the other one done. All right, we got this bad boy all cleaned up, good and shiny. I'm gonna go ahead and put it up under here and mount it.
My dog's here.
And then y'all don't listen to that joke right there. And we're gonna go ahead and pretty much just flip this box around, and then do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll be ready to mount these transistors. Old gatekeeper, we're good and gone. We'll be back.
Bye.
Alrighty, we got the other heat sink. Got it drilled, got it cleaned, got it retapped. It's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, see, that's 6, 16. Yeah, that's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, yeah, that's 22. There's 44 new holes on both of these things. Sorry, it's a little late. But anyway, what I went ahead and did just to be safe as well, which probably took another hour to do, is I went ahead and kind of dremeled and made the actual holes on the actual board a little bit bigger, just to give the transistor a little room when I put the transistors down. That's just in case there's any abnormalities in the actual placement of the transistor holes, because if you don't get them lined up just perfect, then you'll be having you a problem with them transistors not sitting flat and not lining up just perfect. So just want to make sure them transistors are sitting good. So we're moving right along. Another thing I went ahead and did is took this bolt off the back, and I'm kind of glad I did. Take a look at this. Ooh. This is pretty much what you're dealing with, man. A lot of rust. That's why I like to use all stainless. See, anywhere you had rust out there, man, that is where that bolt was not making connection. This is not a stainless bolt, so we're going to replace this with a stainless bolt. I use only stainless hardware just because of this issue. Went ahead and took the cap off too, because I just wasn't liking that, man. What we're going to do, just to equal up, see, we got what, 30,000 microfarad right here. So we're just going to put some filter caps right here on the bus throughout it. Probably some 6800s or 4700s. Just to kind of equal up to that. And another thing, as you can see, a lot of Daves are like this, where the board's not above the holes right here. I'm going to see what I can do about maybe getting that walled off there, so all of the air is going down here to the front, out the back, instead of some of it escaping back here. We're going to get this up right here too. We'll, get that took up, get some big braid about that wide on there for the ground. And this right here is not going to cut it. You can't tune that. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's just easily moving around. You know, that's not going to cut it. We're going to take this tuner off and reposition it to maybe even go with a doorknob. All right, we'll be back. All right, we got a good set of 16 here. Pretty much they all match real close together. And I've got them done in 4s. 4, 4, 4, 4. And I had to take some transistors out of 2 of my other amps here, and pretty much these are the oddballs right here that didn't match at all.
Okay, do
So Now I'm gonna clean them up. I like to clean
Oh, okay.
any
All right,
transistors
good
just to
deal.
make sure
So
there's
how was
no
your day at
solder
school today,
touching the
Riley?
heat sink. Just get them good and clean before I put them on there. And
Okay,
using
that's
some of that
good.
right there.
So how was your day, Mike?
And some good old acetone.
Good. And did you turn in your homework packet today?
That right there
Did you
loosens it
do
up,
that?
some of the hard stuff. Just some good old nail polish removal.
Do what now?
We'll get the flux right on up and get these things cleaned up before I
You
put them
didn't
on
turn it
here.
in. Why?
Alrighty, on to the next.
Oh.
Alright, these 330s, it goes on the input transformers. Right here on all the input transformers. They look kind of rough, like a lot of irons that's been scraped up against them. That's about the only thing I can think of. The reason why these look this rough, because pills have been changed out of this box a lot of times. There were quite a bit of times, because if you look at it, with this being a Dave, a lot of people will get in here and try to switch these pills out with the sides still on, so the irons just scraping up against the caps when they're taking the pills out. And any other way, I mean, there's no other way why these caps should look as rough as they do. But anyway, I took them off just to kind of take a look at them and see where they were sitting at on the capacitance, and I wasn't too happy with the the percentage that they were off. Like, I'll show you an example here. Just real quick. The first one's sitting at 329. Okay. Sorry about that. Next one's at 323. That ain't working too well. That's 324. They're kind of just all over the place. You know, not too far off, but I like to try to have all these things matching as close as possible. So that was 328. Let's get this one right here that's been chipped pretty bad. 332. You see how they're kind of far off from each other. If you take a look at the caps here, I've already set aside 325. $325. They're all going to be right there at 325. They might be flickered from 325 to 326, but 325. See, they're all matched. I've already preordained that. Whenever I get a new bulk of capacitors, I'll go through there and match them all and organize them all. And I went ahead and made the new feedback circuits. That's what these are right here. So whoever worked on this amp before, they changed a lot of the stuff and put a lot of new stuff on here, but they really should have went ahead and continued with it, and, you know, went ahead and made some of the other stuff new as well. So that's what I'm doing pretty much now, is just doing that. So we've got all the transistors in now on both sides. Got them all soldered in well, and so now I'm gonna get these 330s on here. And the only thing that did bother me, it bothered me pretty bad. Alrighty, I was about to go hook this up and fire it up and get the output tuned out here, and I quickly noticed there was a dead short Because before I hook anything up, I'm always checking for a dead short from the bus to the ground every time. Every time. I was showing a dead short from the bus to the ground when the switch is on. Okay, when the switch is turned on. And when it was turned off, I wasn't. So that was letting me know it was a dead short from the actual relay's positive terminal on the coil to ground. So I kind of just backstep myself just to double check to make sure. So that's why I unsoldered the wires from the switch. Unsoldered the wire going to the positive side of the coil from the remote here, just to double check. Now, I haven't ran into this many times with more homebrew copper board type amplifiers. But basically, here's your wire right here. Okay, that's coming from up here. Here, that's a short. So, I don't know why, but somehow or another, this this appears to be 18 gauge wire. Somehow or another, this 18 gauge wire is shorting out up under this board on the heat sink somehow. So we're going to pull that out, because that's another thing. At first, I was not getting this relay fired up and actuating. And then once I pulled that wire out there, as you can see, things actuating just fine. So I'm going to get that dead short fixed and probably run a new wire. I don't know. We'll see. And then we'll go fire this puppy up. Old gatekeeper said it. We'll be back. All right. Well, I got everything done. I made my needed to make a cable for my ground here. So basically, I did everything I needed to do, and I fired this bad boy up, and I quickly figured out that I was not getting hardly any output at all. And the resistors there was two resistors that were getting very hot on the output, and both of these output combining balancing resistors are getting hot. Well, I know now why. Well, I went ahead and drew me a little schematic here of the mini coax diagram of the splitter and combiner. Because what I went ahead and did at that point, since I don't have my oscilloscope hooked up right now, I ain't got the room. I will have the room here in just a bit. She's just over there just chilling. Look at her. Chilling like a villain, boy. Ain't got a worry in a cat picking world. Must be nice. Well, anyway, what I did is I hooked up every 4-pill section and basically tested every 4-pill section individually, and started writing down my my result there with a little bit of power I was putting into it. And basically section 3 and 4, I didn't write it down on 4, but they have no output in full reflect, and let me show you why. So here was your main issue, my friend, along with other issues that would have been ran into if this wasn't here. Meaning the fake transistor, the other transistor that was reading as a diode. There is a third transistor as well that pretty much the only thing that happened with that transistor when I took it out, the top popped back off of it. I just don't really like gluing them back on and putting them in operation, man, because that thing's going to heat up and that thing's going to start moving around. I ain't got the proper glue here, so we just went ahead and put that thing to the side and wrote on the bottom of it, glued on. So maybe in the future, or need to get some more high temp glue to glue these tops back on whenever they do fall off. But anyway, now take a look at this. I'm gonna show you real quick. All right, we just got the continuity set up. You see, I've got that on the ground part of the case. Okay, so when I touch the case, we're gonna have a continuity. Hear the beep. Okay, ground beep. All right. Let's go over here to the input the input splitter over here. All right, you see how I get a beep right there? See how I get a beep right there? Alright. See how I get a beep on the front? I'm having problems connecting it. Hold on a second. Yeah, come on now. That's why I'd rather be using alright, beep on their front. Alright, I was just wanting to show that because the reason why you should get a continuity to ground on your splitter, because it's fairly simple. Alright, this splitter is nothing but two wires, okay, that are wrapped in here in a correlation as it is. Alright, it connects to this input transformer, this input transformer. Well, if you see this input transformer, it's just wire that's wrapped around it 3 times. Alright, and comes to the other end and solders to the board. Solders to the board. So, if you test with a DC continuity meter, you're going to read a dead short from ground to here, ground to here. Because, like I said, this piece of wire that's wrapped around going there, so it's a wire literally that's shorted, you know, DC wise. So in that case, you should get a DC short from the splitter as well. We'll take a look at this. We hook it up right here. We get the continuity beep. Right here, we don't. Continuity beep. Here, we don't. You know why? These combiners are wrapped wrong. These two ends right here is actually the same wire. So no RF is flowing through these splitters. I meant splitters, not combiners. So the person that had this before, my friend, basically, I hate to tell you this, man, but this box never worked when it was handed back to you. I'm going to do another video once I take these off to show you physically what I'm saying is so. I really hate to see that, my friend. I mean, the facts are facts. Alright, well, here's the splitters removed. Meter is on. As you see, we are getting no continuity. See, these are supposed to be two separate wires, okay? One end of one of the wires is supposed to be on this end. The other end is supposed to be on this end, twisted together right here. So you're taking in two separate signals and splitting them, or, excuse me, taking in one signal and splitting them, or two signals and combining them, okay? And as you see, basically this wire and this wire, that's the same wire wrapped around there. So you can put whatever you want to here. It's not passing through, or here, and it's not splitting up into two. So basically none of the signal was making it through this section to these 8 transistors. And I mean, I hate to see that, man. I really do. I know you sent this box out for repair, and I know you paid quite a few $100s to get it repaired, and it was sent back to you like this. I try to refrain my words, you know, but that's not good, man. It really is not good. That literally means that the person literally knew that it was not working when he gave it back to you, and I hate to see that. He or her. Man, I hate to see that. That's just one of them things you know for sure it didn't work. Because it can't work this way. Alright, well anyway, I grabbed the combiner that I already had made for an 8-pill project. There's some big wires on here too, man. I think these are 14 gauge wires also on here. Alright, we're going to connect one to there. We're going to connect the other to here. See how we're getting a connection? All right. God dang it. All right. See how we're getting a connection now? That means that RF can now come through and be split off into these two. Now watch, I'm just going to move this one from there, hook it right here. See? That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. Because like I said, these are two separate wires. On one end, they're twisted together right here. Okay? So that means these wires are touching as well. Alright? So it's going to take one end and split it off into two, or take two in and combine it into one. The problem with this is, yes, if you connect this and this, it's showing continuity. That's because that's the same wire. If you connect this and this together, it's showing continuity, but not because it's the same wire, because both wires separately are connected at the far end right here. But as I showed you, when you go to connect this to here, no continuity. And I'll show you the other one too, just to document it in both sections. Give me 1 second. All right. There you go. So I'm going to have to take these off and rewrap them. I'm not sure if I'll be able to use this same wire or not. I'm going to keep everything, but you know, the same, of course. But this appears to be 14 gauge wire around here, man. That's just too thick for a splitter, man. It's real thick. So it appears that the person was just trying to replace a couple of things, you know, to try to possibly fix the problem. And my guess is they got a little frustrated with it. Not only to find out that it looks like they actually created the problem. Well, like I said, there was an issue already there with the transistors. There was a couple other issues that wouldn't keep the box from not working. You know, like the 330s not matching and stuff like that. It wouldn't keep the box from not working or nothing. But it appears that it was one of them hit or miss type repairs, it seems. But hopefully once we get these new splitters here rewrapped and wound up, we'll have this thing rocking and rolling then, and I'll go ahead and get it tuned out. Looks like I might have to retune the input too. I'm just guessing. That's just a guess. Alright, we'll be back, man. I know this is a long video. I'm sorry. And by the way, now this Dave is mounted. Okay, it's mounted now. Trust me, it'd be best for me to do it that way because the strips that was on here, somebody added them on there later. They do not line up with the regular ones. You know, I could put more strips on there and everything like that, but I thought what I would do is just literally mount this to here to give it more good secure, to make it more secure. And it's also mounted back here by the SO2s and by this right here. You ain't gonna, that's a very good mount. So with all that put together, this thing is mounted real well now, real well. So we'll put them back on, just fill those holes up with screws on the sides there. So it's mounted real well now. When I say well, it's mounted very well. It ain't bulging at all. All right, we'll be back. Ooh-wee. Well, here we are a few days later. I have been having to troubleshoot this amplifier like something serious. Well, basically, after I got all the issues worked out in this 8-pill section, which involved a little bit of multi-layered issues that was going on, as you already know about the splitters. I had to rewrap the splitters. And then I quickly, once I'd done that and the RF could flow through, then that brought forth the other issues that was there. And the first issue found was this metal clad shorted out. Let me demonstrate. Hooking it up to the capacitance meter, and there's a short. That's what happens when you have a short, and you can kind of hear it beeping a little bit. It's not real loud, but it's just showing that there is a short in the wires. So, and I know I can tell exactly why it's shorting out, and instead of even trying to fix that, just went ahead and threw actually I went ahead and put in 2 brand new metals right here, because this one right here just it wasn't matching this one by no means. It wasn't matching the old one that was on there. I at least wanted them to match, these two to match in this 4-pill section, so I just put 2 new ones on. Alright. After doing that, and also finding out that the transistors in here, I should have done that on the I should have did a video of that, but the transistors are over there. But basically, the transistors that I had in there, I pulled everything back out and threw her on the old trusty Atlas, and figured out that they were not matched nowhere near as good as they could be. Okay, but it wasn't far off enough to even have it, to be worried about. Well, like I said, I removed, okay, I remember now, sorry. At this point, this two-pill section right here is working. At this point, I had this 4-pill section hooked up in singles, so I was testing each section individually. I got the issue fixed with this. That was the shorted cap. It was on this end right here. So that's when I put both of them on there to match. Alright. Then, this one was not producing any output at all. I pulled the transistors out. They showed a HFE value of like 56. One was 56, one was like 54. No leakage, no nothing. Showing perfect. Cut on voltage, .62 volts. I literally took the transformer off and put in a brand new transformer on the output. That's a brand new transformer right here. Okay, where is that transformer at? And I can't find it right now. I got parts scattered all over the place right now. But anyway, I put on a new transformer. Okay, and then I put in a new input transformer right here, as you can see. Okay, and I rewrapped the input wraps right here as well. I kind of did all that at once, and these were removed too at one point in time, and I rewrapped them with the same wire that was on there. But anyway, I was still seeing no output. At that point, I mean, there was nothing else it could be but the transistors were showing good. So what I did at that point is I had this 2-pill right here laying around. Okay, it's a brand new Fat Boy 2-pill Trucker 22879 Fat Boy. Okay, and the pills, there was a blown pill in it, and I had to remove the pill, so this didn't have any pills in it. And I knew the box worked perfect. These were the pills right here that was in this 2-pill section. I threw these pills in this box just as a hunch. Hooked this box up, no output. So this is the first time in history, in my history, of doing this, that I have had 2 transistors that showed no shorts at all on a regular multimeter, that the Atlas showed that was in perfect working order, an HFE value of like 56 in the 50s, but did not work. Anybody that's watching this video, if this has happened to you too, that you've actually had transistors. Now, I haven't actually tested each of those transistors. That I run out of space. Yeah, this is the next day. I ran out of space and just took it on in last night. So anyway, like I was explaining, if anybody is watching this video and has ran across the same issue of 2 transistors, or a transistor, doesn't matter, this time it was 2 transistors that both show that they're perfectly working. They test well on not just a regular diode multimeter, the way, the easiest, cheapest way to test. All junctions are testing perfectly, and even on the Atlas. Let's see here. Atlas DCA 55, which is one step up of testing transistors. There's definitely deeper steps you can take into them, like loop tracers and stuff like that. But the Atlas showed perfect, no leakage voltage, current. I mean, no leakage current. .62 on the turn on. HFE value of around 50 something. Both show perfect, but do not work. Has anybody else had that happen? Because this is the first time since I've been into this hobby that it has happened to me. Transistors that are not blown, that do not work. So that was very unique, and that's why it took me a second to find the issue, because that's the last thing you would think about. So anyway, so we finally got this 4 transistor section working. So at that point, went ahead and hooked the whole box up. Went in and hooked the splitter combiner back up. Dumped this 2-pill right here into it, just so we can see what it's doing, get it tuned out and everything. And then started seeing some smoke. And believe it or not, the smoke I was seeing was on the side over here that was working just fine. This side was working just fine. I was seeing smoke from this resistor. So I was like, we got a dead short somewhere, or probably a balancing issue. So at that point, what I done was I went ahead and removed all 4 of these transistors. Okay, I took them back to the Atlas. I checked everything. Everything checked just perfectly fine. They were all still matched like I originally did. So I put the transistors back in. I noticed that the metals were in bad looking shape, so I just went ahead and replaced the metals on there as well. At this point, it was still, I could just key, do an audio and unkey and feel this. Sorry, my phone overheated. But basically what I was saying is I could just key and just say audio and let go of it. And this 100 ohm resistor would be blistering hot. So basically at that point, I was I knew for 100% there was a balancing issue, and I was trying to figure out what was causing it. Where I could quickly see that these input transformers are from different manufacturers. And the way that I could tell is take a look at the back of the copper board on them. You see the back of the copper board? They're different. This was actually not the issue though, but at the time I was trying to figure out, I had a hunch at the time. I thought it had something to do with the ferrite at that point. So I replaced it and put two brand new half-inch 61 cores in, and that made no difference at all. So at that point I went ahead and pulled these two output transformers completely off the pill strips, and then I went ahead and unsoldered all the 120 picofarad capacitors. So I came over here to my trusty cap meter, and there's the remnants of them right there. But one of them I noticed was a different manufacturer than the others, and let me show you what I saw out of this one. I just like to document everything. You know, this is a long video and I apologize. Alright, look at that. 61 picofarad. This is a 120 picofarad capacitor. And it's kind of rubbed off on it, but let's see if I can't turn this light on here. It's kind of hard to see, excuse me. It's a 120, but it's been rubbed off a little bit. But anyway, it's 120 pico, so that bad boy right there has been devalued. Meaning it's been getting so hot, cooled down, or a load's been on it so hard that it's been devalued. So, you know, right off the top of my mind, you know, I'm like, oh, that's it. That's got to be the issue. That's got to be the issue. So, you know, just kind of thinking a little bit too quick, I threw the output transformers back on. And before I did, I went ahead and done my little thing to it that I normally do to transformers just to make them a little easier to put on. And I was still getting the issue. And I was like, what in the world is going on here? I'm like, the only thing that's left really is the output transformers, you know, because as you see, everything is bypassed right now. There's up to the relay, to the output combiner of this 4-pill, all the way to the input splitter. So all the mini coax, everything is not in circuit. So at this point, I said this is the only thing it could be. I took the output transformers back off. That's what this is right here. Okay. And I said, you know what? It'd be best just to go ahead and do the whole shebang and just put brand new output transformers and wind a new combiner. So finally, after I replaced the two output transformers with brand new 61 core, 5/8 core transformers, and I just wound it a new one. I know this combiner don't match the other ones, but it don't matter. It's all balanced now. And once I did that right there, booyah, fixed it. And I was, man, you don't know how happy I was, because I was stuck on that. And also I went ahead and replaced the 150 down here as well, just to be safe. Once you get into multi-layer onion type repair like this, sometimes it's best just go ahead and put a new part on there just to be safe, you know. So just to show you right now, we got the 16 pil hooked up to the switcher, and the driver here is hooked up to the battery, so we're on 12 volts for the driver, nothing serious. And just to show you this section working unison away from the all the other ones, (1000 watt slug), Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. It's about 280 RMS, almost 300. Oh yeah, right there about 600 feet. Grant you, that's not, you know, completely tuned the best it could be tuned. This right here is just hooked on the batteries down there. I was playing around with it yesterday. I actually had the hot radio hooked up to it, and it done about 350 RMS at that point, which was pretty cool. But anyway, the good thing about it though, it fixed that issue. All right, so now we are about to take these off and hook the combiner and the splitter back up, and it's pretty much tuned out, but I'm gonna retune just a little just to make sure it's right, as good as it can be, and then we're going to mic this tuner in to another tuner, maybe the tuner that was in here, or see if we can't get a doorknob in here or something. And once we do that, man, we'll be making the final output video, and I'm gonna go pull the old Gatekeeper 1x4 out of the mobile there and give it one good stroke with it. All right, the old Gatekeeper said it. We'll be back.